This is love, death, grief, and everything in between. And then they had sent her home. She was in so much pain and we couldn't move her. So we had to call 911 and have an ambulance come and pick her up. And I know that anything left of her spirit broke in that moment, because I was saying, let me get you some comfy pants, let me get you some shoes, and she didn't care. She was like, I don't care. I don't care how I go. And so I remember she's wearing her favorite little nightshirt. It's like this dark green with a bear on it, making the arm gesture saying bear hugs. So she was wearing that. I put socks on her feet. But the guys came in with the stretcher and put her on the stretcher and put her in the ambulance. I rode with her. Phil followed us in the car. And then it was so hard because, again, she's in emergency. Anybody that's ever been in emergency knows you're waiting like forever. It's like time has stopped. And you're just hoping that you get in a reasonable time. And they had her in the ambulance bay waiting until they could get her in a room. And I can't go be with her. That's the worst part. When you have to wait and you don't know what's going on. And because of how bad things had been before her discharge the first time, I didn't want her being alone. So they finally got her in a room, checked her back in, took her back up to the same floor she had just come off of. They put her in a room. That night we had a lovely nurse who came in, and he was amazing. So they were trying to get her comfortable. But at this point, she just gave up. And the doctors kept coming in and trying to say, let's try chemo again, or let's go and drain the fluid in her abdomen. They just kept doing more and more. And that's the other problem when your loved one is in the hospital, because their whole endeavor is to save them and to do everything to make things better. But the greatest bit of advice that I ended up getting came from nurses on the nursing staff. I was trying to encourage my mom. I was trying to do what I could to make things better and to get her to hang on. And I remember there was just one nurse. And she goes, look, I was in your position last year. And I'm just going to tell you, make sure you listen to your mom. She knows what she's feeling and she knows what she's going through. So honor her wishes and listen to her. And at the height of one of the nights that my mom was readmitted, they came in to move her and to change her bedding and her gown. And when they did, she was screaming in so much pain. And when we were there before she was discharged, I remember hearing other people, because the floor my mom was on was also the hospice wing. So I remember hearing other people screaming and crying and feeling so bad and thinking, these poor people, why is nobody helping them? And I remember that night I'm just thinking, oh God, my mom is that person. My mom is that person right now, screaming. And she started saying things to me like, just let me go. Please just let me go. The next day, I was sitting in her room because, again, I didn't want to leave her. And the other little thing is the doctors like to come in and do their rounds early before visiting hours. So that way, I'm pretty sure they don't have to deal with family. So I made sure when she was going to be checked on, I was staying overnight in the hospital and I was right there in the chair when they were coming in the room. Because the one doctor who ended up admitting it was an oversight that he didn't send her home with pain medication, I wanted more answers from. I wanted to know why palliative care doctor was not brought in to basically acknowledge her pain and give us a protocol of what we could do. And I just wanted to lay into them about being honest with us. Because I could see my mom's charts and I looked up what it said. And it was metastatic widespread cancer in her liver. I think anybody that looks that up knows that when it says metastatic widespread, that's not a good sign. And I just kept asking for honesty. Should we just get her into hospice care? Because in that case, I could have looked into getting everything set up at home and letting her die in peace at home. And I told her if that's where we're going to go, then that's what I wanted. And I know she didn't want that because she didn't want to be a burden. She didn't want to put us through that. But we didn't get that far. As the doctors came in and kept talking about more treatments and more stuff for her, I basically told all of them, you need to look at her and you need to really assess what's going on. I get it's your job to try and save a life, but right now, giving her the peace that she wants is saving her life. So I told them to call the palliative care doctor and told the rest of them they weren't needed. And I will say this, the palliative care doctor was the most amazing and beautiful person. Anyone that deals with palliative care and hospice care, seriously, the whole world should just be blanketed with those doctors because the team we had was beyond amazing. I know others may not be, but there's a certain type of personality, a certain type of empathy and sympathy for the families that palliative care people have that you just don't find all the time. This is love, death, grief, and everything in between. Hit the like, subscribe, and notification bell to stay up to date on all new videos. Until next time, lean into your grief and accept the tears whenever they decide to come. But above all else, embrace the love and the laughter and the memories that you're going to find along the way.